We are connected. Hello, everybody. Welcome to today's episode of the Daily Sib. I think, is it Tuesday, Liz?
It is. Is it? Yes, I think it is.
I think it is.
Not me, though. I'm not sure.
And I'm always very excited for the Daily Sib guests and the interviewees and all the learnings and the sharings that are going on. But I'm very, very excited to have Liz back on the show. You were on in the early days of the Daily Sib, right?
Yeah. In the kind of birthing of Daily Sib.
Yeah, the birthing of Daily Sib. Yes, it wasn't as painful as it sounds, but so yeah, it was. And I guess I was playing around with the format. It was only on YouTube and then sort of sharing the YouTube, whereas it's evolved that it's on 5 platforms with the comments and the questions coming in. But I think it would be good because there will be people that maybe didn't see that YouTube version to kick off a bit about you and a bit about Disability Horizons. And as always, we'll go on a magical mystery tour with it.
What weave around topics, probably.
Absolutely.
I'm Liz. I've been a journalist for 12 years, just over 12 years. And I've been pretty much working with Disability Horizons since the beginning of my kind of career. I've been the editor, kind of commissioning articles and editing them, but then also kind of trying to grow the audience, trying to kind of reach more people. And, also we have a lot of volunteers on the team, which have helped us get to the point of where we are today. They've all been pretty much like me, there from almost the beginning. And so I do a lot of work with them as well, nurturing kind of their careers and what they kind of want to do. Some of them would like to be journalists, some of them want to do more writing, have more experience in kind of social media, etc. So it's a bit of a kind of combined role of the articles and finding and featuring stuff that the audience is going to love, that they're going to find helpful, but then also kind of building our team and helping disabled talent, I suppose, is the best way to say it, nurturing people. And Disability Horizons has always been about our community, so both our volunteers and our readers and our writers. And it's always been about, helping disabled people to live the life that they choose, whatever that might be. That could be they want to travel the world, not right now, but and have a multi-million pound business, or it might be that they just want to be happy at home, have a lovely garden. That's what I want to do in my life. Hence why I suggested that. Whatever it is, but it's the life that they choose. And, there are a lot of barriers for disabled people. So we want to try and harness people's talent and their ability to just achieve what they want, whatever that kind of might be.
Yeah, no, that's perfect. Perfect way to set the scene. Now, you mentioned journalism. I think you studied journalism, didn't you, at uni as well?
No,
was it not journalism?
No, this is the interesting thing. I've managed to be a journalist in quite good places. I worked at Which magazine, for anyone who knows that, for 8 years. And I did a media-related degree. It's called media writing, and we did sort of all sorts of stuff like writing for television, writing for stage, writing for magazine, writing fiction, but it wasn't journalism specific. So I didn't really know the journalistic world until I kind of just started doing some work experience. A little bit like some of our volunteers have done for Disability Horizons. I basically just got my name out there, found someone who would talk to me. Because I started out in sort of homes and interiors journalism, found someone that would sort of have me for work experience there. I want to say pestered people, but not pestered people. Delicately, just got my name out there really and tried to.
It's the only way, really. Yeah,
exactly. It's kind of a lot of not just what you know, who you know, and from there I kind of built up my career. As I say, I started in interiors journalism, and then I wanted to move into something a little bit more serious, which is why I then went to Which magazine, and that's where I've learned a hell of a lot more extra badges to my honour, as it were, of kind of real, proper. Hard cutting journalism and all the sort of stuff that you'd learn on the journalism degree. Bits more about that. So yeah, I've been in the industry for a long time, but one of those people that doesn't actually have a degree. So
that's very often the people's degree. So often it's not like they go and do something completely different or whatever it might be. Because the reason I was presuming it was journalism at uni was, and it is all a while ago, but when we first met with Shrin and you ended up becoming the editor on Disability Horizons, you were looking to do something kind of similar in an article magazine way for disability. And very much, I think you mentioned around your brother as well.
Yes.
Was that to do with a uni project at the beginning that you said?
It was, yeah. Because so the dissertation for the kind of media writing degree was just to do, so I think it's 20,000 words of anything. So again, it could be stage, it could be a magazine, it could be anything. And I decided to go with a magazine, which at the time I envisaged existing, which it then carried on to. At that time it was a print magazine I'd done, but that was basically in the kind of mold of what Disability Horizon is. So something that was positive and not just kind of about campaigning, but just about lifestyle, living your life and doing kind of what you want to do. So, and that was really spurred on by my brother, had quite severe cerebral palsy, and he was just such a cheerful person. He didn't have much communication, so he couldn't really speak, but he was just still a very, very kind of sunny, positive person, and I kind of wanted that for more disabled people, really, to, the campaigning and that kind of side of stuff is really important. You can't not have that, unfortunately, and that's certainly been more of it over the last sort of 4 or 5 years, I think. But you've got to have that other side as well. People want to, you've got to live your life and enjoy your life, and while we're here, so you need that kind of lifestyle side of things alongside it.
Yeah, I mean, so it's all good to frame the uni and the experience in journalism from your personal perspective, and then I think there's an area to talk about around media, sort of in general terms. Like you mentioned, you were looking at print, and then obviously with D8, it's been very digital. There's also the general, any community or any audience, that what their culture is and it's sort of how the two go together. So when you were just talking about campaigning, all three of us, me, you, and Shrin, we were very much like, we don't want to go down that staunch political campaigning route. And I do remember, like, I was working at Scope and Disability Now was still thriving. So there was also an element of not reinventing the wheel or not duplicating as well. Obviously, as time's gone on, Disability Now is no more and has stopped. And I think on a media in general level, there's been difficulty with the rise of the internet to have the sort of business model. And that's another thing that we're still battling with, really, on Disability Horizon. So there's a few general kind of thoughts and areas that we're going to get stuck into. But I guess the last thought, and to get your thoughts on the campaigning side, I feel like we have become more campaigning, but it almost in a style that we felt comfortable. And can you expand a bit more on that?
Yeah,
do you agree with that?
Yeah, because it's essentially, like I say, we wanted really to purely focus on kind of lifestyle stuff. But I think particularly when recession hit and we got a Conservative government, I don't like to get political. It happened that it just slowly, from about 5 years ago, things have been harder for disabled people. It's definitely in lots of different ways, whether it's care, whether it's their access to getting out to different things, and there's just been less of a focus on the ability to do stuff that you kind of want to do, that sort of lifestyle stuff. And there's just been more of a sense of people still loving that kind of stuff, wanting to do that sort of stuff, but just so many more people not able to even try and do what they might like to do. So, we've needed and wanted to kind of get involved in that, because you can't ignore the bad stuff that's going on as much as you want to talk about some of the good stuff and give a positive sort of vibe. You can't ignore that, and we didn't want to ignore it. So, but I think what we've tried to do really is to kind of pick our not battles, but pick our battles in the sense of there are still a lot of other publications that do also do that full campaigning. Scope, you mentioned,
Disability in particular, yeah,
exactly. So, you know, there wasn't necessarily a need for us to do all of those things, but what we did was we kind of focused on things that almost were a bit more lifestyle. So we did a digital panel. Was it last year now? Time is going so.
Yeah, I think it was.
We did a sort of digital panel, a kind of campaign around air travel and what people's experiences were with getting assistance. So it was campaigning. It was talking about the problems that people experience with air travel, but it was within a kind of lifestyle area, and it was trying to sort of help get a little bit of change or momentum to enable people to get to that next point and actually do what they want to do the lifestyle stuff, live their lives.
Because I mean, there's the people that live and breathe every day the politics, and not just of disability, but any kind of political change. Like they would argue, and I think I agree to an extent that the personal is the political. So it's like the moment that I can't get on an aeroplane, like you're talking about the panel being about flying.
Yeah.
Like in the end, it's politics that can create the law or enforce the law that should enable me to be equal to get on the plane. So I think there's always that, you know, equality and human rights side and the political side. But yeah, like the Scopes and Baroness Jane Campbell and there's many others that are at the forefront. I think for me, it's like we campaign on the lifestyle elements, but also it's like we always say giving a voice to disabled people. So it's almost by having a survey and a digital panel and even like a Twitter discussion, we're able to go to Scope or Baroness Campbell or whoever and be like, the Disability Horizons community feel this is important. So I think you kind of learn where your strengths and weaknesses are, and we probably found that it's not bad if we don't do some stuff, but it's like connecting the dots with those other people. I think we've got better at that over time as well.
Absolutely. And I think, you know, as I said at the beginning, we've been built on our community, and the real kind of brilliant thing and the strength is that when we've done the sort of surveys, as well as the sort of stats and information, we get so many responses in terms of people that just want to sort of tell their story, want to explain verbatim what experience they've kind of had. So it's really harnessing the power of our audience and the fact that they have a voice, and everyone has a voice, and it's being able to kind of get that across in a way that means it can add even more colour to you know, something. You know, it's great. Obviously, lots of publications, lots of different places do surveys, and they have, you know, a big stat is great in the media world. You know, 50% of people have had a horrific experience flying on a plane. But the thing that adds the colour to it and really adds that human side of it is the real life stories that go alongside that. You know, what actually happened within that 50%, what were the actual stories and things that sort of went on rather than just the kind of number.
Yeah, because it's not like every week or every month we're doing large-scale surveys of quantitative analysis. I always get quantitative and qualitative confused, but yeah, like we're not constantly doing the number crunching, as you say. It's more that human experience and that human story, which the people that write and share their story feel empowered, and B, the readers feel akin to it because they recognize themselves in that. So yeah, and then that's taken us a while. Like in a way, we've always done it, but I think we've learned over the time that we don't need to feel guilty or bad for not doing other things, and that we do this bit really, really well.
Absolutely. And we've oh, sorry, go on.
No, just to double down on it was what I was going to say. Yeah.
I was just going to say that we've worked with Leonard Cheshire recently doing surveys as well, and so they've been doing some kind of various bits of work with reading information requests and things like that, and then we've been helping to kind of just really add a full picture of everything that's going on by adding in that verbatim stuff, people's stories, the kind of audiences, its experiences. So it's, you know, it's a good, I think a great story. I'm talking like a journalist. A great story is one that actually has all of those elements. It has kind of the bigger picture stuff, but it also has the real, you know, human experiences and things that people can relate to.
Yeah. And so I think we've, again, that bit more clarity forming over time, sort of break it down into 3 areas. There's like the content and the community side. There's growing how much that, how much we reach people and impact their life. And the third part is sort of the business model. So I think we've talked a lot about that first area, the sort of the articles, the need for voluntary experiences that we've given in our team, and sort of helping upskill and give real life work experience. Before we move on to growing and sort of that side, is there anything else you wanted to mention in terms of the articles and the community and anything in that area?
I mean, only largely that we, as I say, what is the phrase when you're flogging a dead horse? I keep saying about the community. We're built on the community, and we've done immensely well so far. We have, across our kind of social media channels, we've got sort of 40,000 people. We get 50,000 hits on the website a month. So our community is incredibly strong. We have so many kind of writers and people that want to write for us, or kind of volunteer and help out. And as I say, with the volunteers, we've had ones that have been on our books kind of since the beginning, like me, like you, that have all just done it for a passion. We believe in Disability Horizons, and a lot of it has been voluntary because we just believe in it. So, but we want more, basically, in kind of growing us. We
look at the numbers, right? The numbers of disabled people in the UK is only 14 million. So as proud and amazing we are with 40,000 social media, 50,000 website, there's a lot more people still need support, right?
Exactly. So I'm kind of going through a bit of a process of, at the moment, just trying to build our list out as much as possible, and looking always, as you mentioned, the internet, how that's kind of in the career of my journalism, seeing how much the internet has gone from a little thing to completely exploded, and layered on top of that social media and videos, and Instagrammers and all that kind of thing. So, as well as a lot of bloggers and writers that we've got on our books, I'd really like more people that do videos, people that are actually don't necessarily have a blog, but they share on their Instagram. And so I think we want to kind of look at doing more around that, doing more with a different variety of people, really. And what was I going to say? My memory is terrible.
So many bits to cover.
I know.
Right. No, I think the point you've just made there with someone that, sorry, I was going to say the point about the changes has been really hard. It's again, this isn't about disability and media, it's just general media. It's been so fast paced that you just about catch up with, so there were Facebook groups became really big. And so we sort of, okay, that's happening, and we learned about it, and we then started to offer it. And our DH tribe, D Horizons tribe's got, I think, coming up to 2,000 members in a Facebook group, and that's been a rich way of taking the articles and then having not just discussions about the articles, but like general, someone's got a problem with their wheelchair or going on holiday, and the community can answer that. And no sooner have you kind of jumped on that bandwagon that there's another Instagram's on fire now,
absolutely. And with coronavirus, that's definitely been a bigger thing as well, which is great. It's wonderful that actually, gosh, what would have happened with all of this if we didn't have Instagram and social media and kind of the ability to kind of stay in contact with all the people that you can't kind of physically see at the moment. And I think something that's come out of coronavirus, I hope, one positive thing, is that actually there's a lot of disabled people who have used Instagram, used YouTube, have used social media channels their whole lives. That's kind of been their way of communicating, because they might be in a position for whatever reason that they actually can't get out physically as much as they would have liked to, or they're slightly limited in certain ways. So social media has been such an amazing, powerful tool, and it's great that that's kind of become more to the fore, and people have maybe hopefully realised that actually some disabled people have lived in a sort of lockdown situation. That's just their kind of life, but that social media is such a powerful tool. And I think in saying about sort of with our writers and our kind of volunteers, something that, although with a lot of them we can't, you know, pay them anything, but what we can give them is experience. And, you know, there's some that sort of, when they've started, you know, maybe never really written before, not really done much on social media, but can see that that's something that they would really like to do. And, you know, as we've seen more and more sort of influencers, which is a nice way to cap everyone, all those different types of things together, you know, they're making a massive impact. And a lot of what they're doing is just sharing their life, yourself included. So, you know, anyone, that's kind of people that I would love to come and kind of join us on our platform, because we want to help them grow their audience and grow their career and get to kind of where they want to be. And then, you know, we can also offer them a wider and different audience and experience, because as I say, myself having been a journalist for more than 12 years, you've got experience in, you know, marketing and different things. And so we can also offer, you know, training courses or just mentoring advice. So yeah,
it's great. You mentioned Corona. I think that that's probably worth going a little bit. Yeah, it's hard not to at the moment, isn't it? Right, but yeah, I think like it'd be great to talk a bit more about what you've been working on in light of Corona in terms of articles, because you've been really busy trying to keep up with the fast moving. Forget like trends in media. It's been a lot happening with Corona, right?
A hell of a lot. I mean, I left my job, which to go freelance and do, you know, dedicate more time to Speech Horizons, and it was literally as coronavirus hit. So I went straight from a brilliant but full-on job at Which to then quickly we need to write loads of stuff about coronavirus. But we've kind of wanted, because there is so much about it, and you know, like we said at the beginning, you've got to with anyone, people, publications, you've got to pick your strength and you've got to pick what your USP is. And ours is really about disabled people and you know, the lifestyle element, as we've said. So there's no point in us going crazy and doing every single article about everything that's happening with Corona, because everyone else is doing that, and there's so much noise, and an overwhelming amount of noise, I think, for a hell of a lot of people. So definitely. We kind of quite quickly decided, well, let's focus in on what's important. Let's focus in on doing stuff about, you know, how to kind of maintain your mental well-being, your physical well-being, you know, acts of kindness or enjoyable things that are going on at the moment, so that you don't kind of miss all of that positive stuff. And then we have also done some kind of in-depth advice pieces on, you know, if you use carers, if you use PAs, you know, how do you kind of keep safe and keep healthy with still having someone kind of coming into your house. So we've kind of tried to get a balance between what we kind of focus on and then also still covering stuff in the kind of advice but also lifestyle way.
And that's probably an important distinction, almost back to what we said about not really campaigning, but, you know, so there was the element of keeping positive and, you know, things to do at home and making it that light-hearted entertainment that people in general and disabled people being our main audience, you know, need, you know, during crisis and tough times. But then that advice and information is probably something that has been an area that we've found we still do. Definitely,
yeah. It's a balance for us. Like Corona aside, we probably do kind of half advice and sort of entertainment stuff. And you know, the advice isn't necessarily a sort of straightforward how-to or kind of bullet points on how to do something. It might be that it's someone's personal story about you know, how they built their own business, or so it's kind of advice through the eyes of someone else, again in that kind of personal, human, relatable way. So we, Corona and non-Corona, we've kind of done a balance of those advice pieces and the kind of lifestyle fun stuff that you need balance in life, I think. You need there's you know, everyone has a need, everyone has practical information that they kind of need to know about, but everyone also wants to just have a bit of fun and something to kind of keep them entertained.
And there was quite a lot I've seen on the articles you've been publishing and editing and everything, that like virtual tourism, for example, sort of innovative ways of the world being able to do stuff while in lockdown, but obviously the double benefit, I suppose, of for disabled people that can maybe never really get for different reasons to certain places. But any other things that you've seen come out in the sort of the positive or the entertainment side as a result of Corona?
I mean, I would say, because chatting to one of our writers actually about doing a bit of a survey to kind of ask our audience what they feel are the kind of best things to have come out of Corona. I think, though this is an entertainment related, I think work is a big factor of it. You know, there's so many, so myself included. I have a heart condition, and I, you know, love my job in London at Which, but it was so exhausting, and I just got to the point where I had to, for me, working from home just makes work-life balance so much better because I'm not exhausted all the time. And there's so many people who are fantastic at what they do, and they have great skills in whatever kind of area that is, and businesses are missing out on them because they need to work from home, and that business might not see working from home as a kind of viable thing. So, you know, I think that all of this, hopefully a lot more businesses will understand that working from home is not a terrible thing. It's fine, and people are still effective, and they are still working well. And so work side, I think, and the entertainment side, there are a lot more virtual tours of all sorts of different areas. It might be sort of natural wonders, or it might be museums, or it might be theatre shows, and I really hope that might continue for certain people who just physically couldn't get there. I mean, first and foremost, if the reason they can't get there is because a building is not accessible and it can be made accessible,
that should still happen.
Absolutely. But where it can't, for whatever reason, why can't there be a way that disabled people could, or people with chronic illnesses, you know, that kind of big raft of different areas, you know, why can't they watch a show and pay to just see it from their home? Because that's how they'll be able to do it, and they'll be able to still give the theatre, you know, money. It just would be in a sort of different way. So again, it's that, I think, as an overarching thing, Corona's made lots of people think in different ways, and I've seen so many different things that have sort of changed slightly, or different innovative ways. There's been a lot more webinars and virtual events that have happened virtually that would have happened, you know, in the real world, in the live world. But you know, I think it gets people thinking more innovatively and thinking in different ways. And effectively, that's what disabled people have to do their whole lives, is think about, they can do something, but they just might need to do it slightly differently. So it's looking at things in a different way. So fingers crossed more of that happens going forward.
I mean, I like, you know, summer, spring, summer, maybe autumn, you know, going to London for a day for football or theatre is great. And like, to your point, it should all be accessible, but particularly winter, you know, I've just not got the energy, and the health is not as good. But the way I can sit at home and watch a football match, which already happens, you know, it'd be great to pay 5-10 quid and watch something of the theatre or whatever, or a concert, and it's not the same, but it's better than nothing. I think that's
absolutely. And you know, from a business point of view, I get that a business wouldn't want to just kind of freely offer, you know, a theatre show or whatever it might be. But you know, if it's an option of a disabled person maybe paying less or whatever it is, or not coming at all, and not, you know, supporting, promoting it, because if you're watching it, you're probably tweeting about it and saying how brilliant it is. You know, so missing out on that completely, what's that doesn't make any sense. So I really hope businesses do kind of try and use a lot of what's come out of this to go forward and kind of think about that. But it's going to be places like us and all disabled people just keep mentioning that, and keep kind of the momentum up of saying this has actually been a really good eye opener for a lot of people. So keep your eyes open.
Agreed.
Just post pictures of yourself doing that, basically. That takes yourself notice.
So I'm going to go to a couple of comments coming in. We've got Mark saying hello both.
Hello.
Mark from Access Rating, good to see you. John saying hello. So hello. And Gavin, there is enough negative in the newspapers. It's great to have a refuge from this, what we were talking about before. So no specific comments, but nice to just get from the audience what's coming in. And if anyone's got any questions for Liz, you know, get them in, and we'll try and answer as many as we can. So yeah, I mean, we sort of talked about that, those three areas of like the content, growing the community, and the business model. I mean, they obviously are very interconnected and overlapping in different ways, but we've spent, and really the core of DH is the content. It is an online magazine, is what we've always called it, really, isn't it? It's disabilityhorizons.com. It's where all of the different subjects, different articles are. And sort of already, I think we said earlier, but yeah, people can subscribe to the newsletter by going on the website. There's a couple of different areas on there to just put your email, and you get, is it a weekly newsletter at the moment?
It's basically the best from Disability Horizons, effectively.
Curated.
Yes, it's the creme de la creme of Disability Horizons. And then we've also got, we might have links to the shops. So we started a shop at the beginning of this year. We've been kind of building our product base on there since that time. We're kind of trying to look at practical and stylish stuff, because there's so many disability products. There's a lot of people watching this will know that are just really ugly, and so we kind of wanted to work with companies that we've known for a long time. Many of the companies we've known for a long time, so they're kind of reputable suppliers based in the UK, selling kind of stylish but practical sort of stuff. So we're using the newsletter as well to kind of feature a few of those products. At the moment, it's PPE, because we've been able to, amazingly, because obviously PPE has been really tough. Back to Corona, I've realised you can't avoid it at the moment. It's been so hard for a lot of people. We've had a lot of people not able to get hold of PPE, and we've managed to get some. So if anyone needs any, do go to our shop, which is just shop.disabilityhorizons.com. And we have some there, but some of that kind of new products and stuff goes in the newsletter as well. So it's the kind of, like I say, the best of everything.
Yeah, perfect. And we'll come back to the shop in a minute when we talk about the business part of the triangle, but with the community. So like you've mentioned social media and the newsletter. I know we've been talking about, like, the newsletter has been updated and revamped a lot, and you're going to do a little bit more, but we are going to start sort of using that as a bit of a easy way to engage in a community way to get the latest updates. And obviously people can still go to the website and look at 9 years of articles. It's 2011, wasn't it, we launched?
9 years. So
people can still do all of that as well, and still come to the Tribe Facebook group as well. But it might be a way that people that weren't quite sure how to get their teeth into it, the newsletter is a good way to start, I would say.
Absolutely.
So there's that. But you've done a lot of background learning and knowledge and action on SEO. Could you just talk a little bit more about that?
So I slightly live and breathe SEO.
To clarify what it is for anyone that doesn't know what SEO is.
I need to mention that. So SEO stands for Search Engine Optimization. And it's basically anything that you do to an article, or even actually YouTube videos, and kind of anything online. You can do various things to it that mean it will get up in Google effectively. So people can
someone searches it.
Exactly. Yeah. So there other search engines are available.
Sure. But just no one uses them.
Like I said, there's lots of kind of different things that layer in and go towards sort of search engine optimization. At the beginning of my career, I was kind of mostly in print, but I think probably about 2 or 3 years into it, so we're talking like 9-10 years ago now, I just realized the internet was going to be quite a big thing, probably. So I went back to, because I was in paid work at the time, but I went back to doing some sort of training on and work experience, unpaid work, to get understanding really of how online worked. And at that time I didn't really know anything. So since then I've just loved it. I don't know why. I love creating a story, but I also love that kind of more analytical side behind it.
It's also a good way of knowing what people are looking for, isn't it? Like, as much as like on the marketing side, it's how our website gets more hits than other similar websites in a kind of businessy way, but actually it's like, what do people care about?
Absolutely. And so throughout our time, but particularly in the last kind of 6 months or so, I've really focused on what do we kind of want to achieve with articles in the next year. And a lot of that, as you say, is based either on the SEO. So there's various tools on the web that you can use to kind of find out what are the phrases or what are the keywords or the questions even that people are most searching for. And therefore that gives us a really good indication of, well, if you're interested in this topic, so let's do an article on it. And some of that can even give you a sort of tilt towards not just the topic area, but exactly what kind of article you might want to create. But then what is good to do is pair it with what we know our audience like. So, based on all the articles that we've done before and what things are popular, but also, from listening to our audience, we've got, you mentioned our closed Facebook group of sort of nearly 2,000 people, and that's a really good tool as well to sort of understand what our audience are worried about or thinking about or kind of questioning and need advice on, or as well just what they'd like some entertainment on or some kind of inspiration on. So SEO is a fantastic tool, but it's also great to know your audience as well and understand that kind of layering of it together.
It helps what articles to create, right?
Yeah, and I think that's been how we've managed to get our numbers to where they are, because it's there's a lot of SEO terms that are very difficult for us to kind of work with. So an example is a lot of people search for disabled holidays, but our audience it's a bit clunky. It's not great to say disabled holiday. You want accessible holiday or something like that. So it's quite difficult in some ways in the sort of disability world of knowing which phrases to go for and how to sort of make sure people find you, because you also want those people who might have typed in something that's not quite right to actually find you and realise, oh, there's a different way to say it, or there's a different way
it's to help not teach, but for people to learn anyway.
And a massive part of our sort of the way that I say that we kind of help disabled people is directly helping disabled people, but also educating society. I think an arm of our audience that we're getting to the website is people that maybe didn't really know anything about disability or have heard something about a phrase or whatever it might be. Actually, one of our articles is that's done really well is an interview with Lucy Martin. So she's a weather presenter and a BBC weather presenter, so she's been on TV quite regularly. So I think a lot of people sort of think, oh, who is this lady who's disabled? Looked her up and then learn more about her and her background and what she's achieved. So
and then maybe read other articles on Horizons as well.
Exactly. And hopefully it's just helps if they have typed, using the example again, disabled holidays, that they found an article about, let's say it was about you who've gone traveling, is it Spain you went and did volunteering for a few months? They might have never thought that sort of thing was possible. Suddenly from kind of narrow view, they've realised, okay. So it's a delicate balance between the two, but so far it's working quite well. But we've got more. There's always more to do.
And when you said about disabled holidays, I remember we did an article that had that sort of thing as the title because we were trying to hit the SEO, and someone that was more from that kind of campaigning activist side that we were always a bit wary of. I was in Italy. I'd driven like 12 hours in a day from Spain to this place in Italy, and I'd arrived and we're getting settled in the hotel, and it wasn't hate mail, but it was like a very angry person that would use disabled holidays, not accessible holidays. But you've just explained really articulately that for the many, many others in the world that don't know all about disability at all, it's better to bring them into the community, and then we all learn together than to be perfectly with the title but have no readers,
Exactly. And it's such a trade-off. And
it is a trade-off,
only where I've worked, SEO, where SEO is really important, there's always that balance of editorial. You can't kind of go, with, again, using that example of disabled holidays, we wouldn't then have the whole rest of the article just kept using disabled holidays. We then bring in that stuff to balance it out and educate people that it's accessible holidays and look at what can happen. So it's a trade-off, and if we don't get people to actually see the articles, then we can't educate them in the first place. So
definitely. Cool. We won't labor too long in the business side, but I think the first thing obviously for anyone watching is that it was more that Shrin and I were sort of in the business development side, and you've very much been in the two areas that we've been talking, and very particularly the content and the sort of volunteers and the team. But I think it's helpful for people that are getting this sort of bigger picture look at Disability Horizons, because we were so busy doing all the individual bits. It's hard to actually be able to just almost share what happened and the learnings, and hopefully inspire others watching to start their own blogs and do their own media platforms as well. And as you said earlier, we're working with bloggers and influencers because we can now get them in front of our big audience.
Absolutely.
But it's a win-win because we get more great content for our audience.
Absolutely.
But on that business side, I mean, generally with a media platform, advertising is the known way of having a business model, and we do have sponsors and partners. And so if anyone particularly on LinkedIn's watching and they would like to promote their product or service or brand, like, get in touch with me or Liz, and we'll be able to help there. I think in a way the way Purple Goat evolved out of Disability Horizons is because there's the mainstream brands don't understand that disability is a big marketplace, and a lot of the disability brands are taking a while to catch up with the new digital marketing world. So we're quite early to we've been early to the party on both fronts, but now we're seeing, on both fronts, people are quite interested and engaging. So again, to clear up any confusion, Purple Goat is a digital marketing agency that can do strategy, creative, different media. Disability Horizons is a media platform where it has its own articles and its own reach, and the two very much work together because Purple Goat will bring in business and Horizons will help deliver on it, etc., etc. But I think what I also wanted to say was, even though Horizons in its own right hasn't yet, and it will, I'm sure it will, but it hasn't yet become a sort of bigger business. It's always been much more run off volunteers and community, and that's where we are today. It has been a place of ideation and incubation of businesses. So Accomable was sort of spawned from Disability Horizons. Purple Goat was spawned from Disability Horizon. Is spawned an all right word to you? I don't know if
fine, go with it.
We know what I mean, right? And the shop, which was sort of coming back to what you said before, and it's always just, how do we bring in revenue to fund the core team, to get more paid opportunities for the writers? Like, that's the big aim. It's not some arbitrary, we want to make millions. It's just about paying the team, paying the writers, and that's the kind of where we're aiming for. And I think we've tried education products with accessible areas. We've had newsletter subscriptions. So it's been a hotbed of innovation over the years. Accomable sold to Airbnb. Purple Goat is working with tier 1 brands. So I think it's good to give Horizons that hat tip and that acknowledgement that even if in its own right it's still more of that community place, it's created really successful businesses as well.
Absolutely. And I think we've sort of said before that in some ways Disability Horizons is a faceless influencer in a lot of ways.
Yeah,
really.
Absolutely.
We've become a place that actually people do listen to, and again, like, whether it's someone that just finds us through searching, or whether it's someone that's actually seen us on social media or seen kind of something going on, we are able to sort of put out messages and put out ideas and put out inspiration is a word. I know some people don't like it, but inspiration, whether that's for other disabled people or whether that's for people that don't know much about disability. But something I was just going to say about it's quite interesting. I know over the years, I think people have very much thought that we're rolling in it and we're making lots of money, and literally it's blood, sweat and tears, passion, really. As I say, all of our volunteers have been with us nearly as long as we have since the beginning, and there's many years where we've just done stuff in our spare time for free because we just have the passion of knowing that we want the community. We could see what the community was going to become, and amazingly it has. And we just want to keep it going. We know that it is beneficial for a lot of people, both within the community but outside as well. Nadex is a good example. Every time we go there, we meet new people that hadn't met us or known about us before, and
Yeah.
it was such a positive reaction, and sort of like, oh, I wish I'd kind of known about this. So, you know, we've always wanted to just try and find a way that we can at least allow, you know, us and some of our writers to have Disability Horizons and the work that we do, just to be able to pay our bills and you know, be able to sustain it, because unfortunately we all have mortgages or rent or whatever it is, and eventually you know, we're not going to be able to give all of our time forever for nothing. So you know, I think it's really interesting that a lot of people have thought actually that we're, you know, rolling it or whatever, and actually it's passion and love, but we really want to keep the community going, and we definitely don't want to not give our time to it. So yeah, it's
yeah, no, well said. And I think, you know, I mean, obviously I've got a call at 1:30, so a bit of lunch after this, and I've got this very interesting call with, it's someone that helped found or invested in Lad Bible, nothing to do with disability, but it's through a mentorship. When we did the Future 20 work, the work we did with the Future 20, we've been connected with different sort of mentors and coaches. So this guy I'm chatting to at 1:30 is to try and get some more thoughts and advice on how does a media company be financially sustainable. But I do think that for Horizons, we've just always battled that image that disability means charity. And I think that's where it's been a real trickier one than if it was a media platform just for football or just for any other kind of topic. That would have definitely been easier to have that financial sustainability. But yeah, like we do it because we believe in it and we're passionate, and you know, we'll keep DH running with or without the business model. But just before we start to wrap up, could you say a bit more about the shop?
Yeah, so we decided to launch the shop end of last year, but officially kind of beginning of this year. And like I say, you know, we're just so aware that there's a lot of products that are really useful but very, very ugly. And you know, there's a lot of stuff on like Amazon that's kind of not, you don't quite know who the seller is, where is it from, is it going to be quite what you think it is? And especially if, you know, if you might be in a position that you don't have loads of money, you don't want to waste your money on something that's not going to actually work or be kind of helpful. So we work with Duncan, who's an inventor himself with his wife, of a wheelchair, lap tray and bag. Look that up, Traversac, if anyone wants to look that up. So we've kind of partnered with him, and we've built up, got about more than 140 products with a number of different suppliers who are people that we've worked with for many, many years, either us or Duncan has. So we know them, they're reputable. A lot of them manufacture and do everything in the UK. And a lot of their products are practical and will work, but they're also stylish. So we hopefully people can kind of find stuff that's really, really useful for them. But we also want to kind of encourage disabled entrepreneurs. So as well as how we've spoken about through the kind of community with writers and bloggers, we also really want to help out new disabled entrepreneurs that are, you know, either they've got an idea and they still haven't quite developed it, or they've got a product but they're not kind of quite sure where to go with it. You know, do get in touch, because we want to kind of build that side of the website up more and help sort of nurture and advise entrepreneurs in different ways. So if you email shop@Disability Horizons, if any entrepreneurs want to get in touch and kind of get a bit of advice or find out how to be on the shop, or obviously visit the shop yourself, it's just shop.disabilityhorizons.com.
Brilliant. Wow, I told you time was going to fly, didn't I? We're almost at 1 o'clock.
We've been able to talk for about like 10 minutes. And
yeah. No, it's been really interesting. Obviously, people have got to learn a bit more about your background to sort of understand the full details of what DH is as a magazine, and the way that it supports the community beyond the articles, but with volunteering and sort of like talent, nurturing talent. I think that the growth side is something that, you know, there's some new ideas that hopefully will help us reach more people. And obviously, everyone, please come and subscribe to the newsletter if you're watching on disabilityhorizons.com. And yeah, the business model has been an interesting one over the years, and we've definitely, trial and error. But I think the shop's exciting because it plays into our strength about nurturing disabled talent, but also the trust for the consumer about the products that are being sold and curated on our shop as well. So yeah, we certainly touched a lot.
Absolutely.
Was there anything else you wanted to mention before we wrap up?
Just as a final point, really, as I was kind of saying in the beginning about sort of bloggers and influencers, we would love to kind of work with more people. So if anyone is interested, whether it's kind of writing opportunities, so you mentioned Purple Goat, we're also kind of working in that sphere. So, as I said, a lot of people are developing their career now through working from home, being an influencer. So if anyone wants kind of advice on how to do that, or they just want to get involved in some way, we can help them to kind of build their career, build out their audience, and hopefully possibly get some paid work as well, or extra kind of experience. So email me, it's just liz@disabilityhorizons.com, or get in touch, follow us on Facebook and Twitter. You can also get in touch that way. But yeah, join us. And the other thing I was going to say is I'm actually working on a project at the moment to try and build the profiles that we have on our website for our writers. So at the moment, every article that's written by someone is very clear where it's from, links to their social media, so great for that person's SEO, talking about SEO again. But I'm looking to actually get proper profiles for all of our writers, so that they have a proper kind of page on the website, and then all of the articles that they might have written for us. So watch this space for more stuff.
And I brought Gavin's question up about if a person has a good story, who would they contact? I think you've covered that amongst what you said, but I just wanted to bring up that Gavin asked that as well. Cool. Well, yeah, perfect timing. Really good to chat. Like, we always have very sort of it's never businessy in like a negative way, but there's always so much to do, and it's very kind of what's the to-do list, how are we getting on, and which is great on the day-to-day team stuff. But it's been nice to actually kind of look at the big picture, and I think people watching will have learned quite a lot about DH that maybe they didn't realize before. So yeah, really good to chat, Liz. Thank you for coming on the show.
Thank you very much, and I look forward to just working with more people, so do get in touch.
Brilliant. Well, yeah, you've heard it, guys. If you want to write a story or get involved with volunteering, I won't recap all of it, but all the stuff we've been talking about, and get in touch. I hope you enjoyed today's episode. I definitely did. And yeah, we'll be back tomorrow for the next episode. So have a lovely Tuesday in the meantime. Bye-bye.
Bye.